Hoy, Hoy, Ranze,
Present, sir.
Villagracia,
Present, sir.
Villarente, Villarente, Isores,
Present, sir. I was also present last meeting, sir.
anong na-zero malagi ka dire?
But sir, kay kapila sad ko nag-call sa imong attention, sir, na present ko pero wala nimo na notice.
Excuse me, sir. Lazarte, present.
Estrada present, sir.
Labra present, sir.
Elias present, sir.
Wala
Excuse
siya?
me, sir. Alegria present po.
No more? So, meaning Brago, Kaintik, Kalamayo, Season, Villarente are absent. Okay. Guys, please take note, no? You listen first, no? And then if you have concerns, if you have questions, if there's something that you would like to clarify, you raise it after my discussion. Is it clear?
Sir.
Okay. So, today is May 3, no? And actually, this is our last meeting for the semester, no? Except for during the submission of your final requirement. Okay, so it means that on May 8 and May 10, we will not have face-to-face and we will not have online classes. So you spend these times, no, for Monday, May 8 and Wednesday, May 10 to meet with your group and discuss about your final requirement. And then whoever is the representative of the group, you should check the attendance of your classmates, particularly on these dates, plus those times or those days that you will be meeting with your group, no? And then in your final requirement, which will be submitted on May 17, I'd like you to insert, no? So you will be submitting a hard copy of your final requirement. You insert a paper that will show who are present during your meetings, particularly on May 8 and May 10. You may include those dates wherein outside May 8 and May 10, wherein you conducted meetings with your group. And then, as I have mentioned, we still have to meet on May 17 for your submission of your final requirement, which will serve as your final examination. And then during the submission, during the face-to-face meeting on May 17, I will be calling each one of you, no, to have a one-on-one consultation in regard to what have you learned from the class. So I may ask you to give a demo on IBM SPSS or Smart PLS. I may, no? So I will just pick at random. I will ask in regard to the final requirement of the course, the one that you will be submitting on May 17. It will be only perhaps 2 minutes or less, no? Now, I just like to ask you a few questions, and then I will ask you some problems that you have encountered during our class, no? Especially during online classes. Am I clear?
Yes po.
Yes, sir.
Can I have a thumbs up from everyone? Sandoy, you have question or you just push a wrong button?
Wrong button na to, sir. Sorry.
Okay. So that is our plan for next week and during the final examination. I just want to talk to each one of you such that you will feel perhaps a casual, we'll have a casual conversation because I would like you to be not afraid no to approach your teacher. So do not be afraid when we have contact talk, or perhaps I'll give you some questions, no? It's just a casual question, no? So I will not put you in a very bad situation, no, during the one-on-one talk with you. You understand? So do not be afraid, no, because I have observed that no, when I asked my students in the previous class, no, to tell me about what are their plans, no, and then I have felt that some are afraid, no. That is just my observation based on the way they speak. So you should not be afraid, guys. Understand?
Yes po.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So your final requirement, actually, you have accomplished already part 1 and part 2 of it, no? So if you have recalled in your midterm exam, I required you to submit the profile of the respondents of the intention to purchase health insurance, no? You have perhaps 7 tables for the profile, which included sex, um, you have age group, you have civil status, you have education, living areas, you have income group, and whether they have purchased insurance or not. And then I ask you to describe each table and then include RRL. No, that is part 1. And then part 2 is I also ask you to produce the descriptives of the health insurance variables. No, you have another 7 tables for what are these health insurance variables. You have um, insurance literacy, you have attitude towards insurance, you have perceived behavioral control, you have subjective norm, perceived risk, perceived product risk, uh, intention to purchase health insurance. So there are 7 actually, no, for part 2. I have asked you to provide the mean and the standard deviation and the column for interpretation, which you did already. Am I correct? Guys,
Yes, sir.
di ba
Yes,
nabuhat
sir.
naman ninyo, guys? Nabuhat na ninyo, di ba? Okay, so what I would like you to submit in the final requirement, now that will be on May 17th, you put together your output in the midterms as well as your output in structural equation modeling. So I'll give you an example, no? I will not be discussing anymore any topic for today. No, I will just discuss your final requirement. And then I'd like you to take note, no, those of you that perhaps who are under me in AMSR, since I have the same final output, no, I do not want you to use what you have, what you're going to use in your AMSR. Please take note that if you're going to copy your output in DP101 to your output in AMSR, I will just give you a 0 for part 1 and part 2. No, I will grade only your smart PLS. So please take note, no, that anyone that I will be caught copying or submitting past requirement, no, I'm going to give you an INC, and then I will ask you to attend the same class, no, from the start to finish. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Naiuban ninyo diri nga who are under me in AMSR, and to tell you honestly, I have the same requirement for my AMSR and DP 101. Although it is very easy for you because you have already done part 1 and part 2. But my AMSR class, they have not started yet, no? So if, for example, since you are under me in DP 101, and then since you have submitted already your part 1 and part 2 during the midterms, and then you will use this output in your AMSR group, then I will give you 0 for part 1 and part 2, or I will give you an INC, I will give you another set of data, and I will ask you to do again part 1, part 2, and part 3 using this different data set. Is it clear? Labra?
Yes, sir.
Clear siya, no? Basta, warning, giwarningan to na madaan, no? Okay, so that's it, no? So I'll give you an example of what are you going to submit. No? So as I have mentioned, you will submit part 1, part 2, which you have submitted in the midterms, no? But you should submit already a hard copy, no? Meaning printed copy, and submit it on May 17. So I'd like you to write, no, the title of your requirement is factors affecting intention to purchase health insurance among selected adults in Cebu or in Cebu City. That's the title. And then you can just write there for your cover page a mini research, no, submitted as a partial requirement for the course DP 101, submitted by, so the names of the members of the group, then submitted to your teacher. Is it clear? Guys,
Yes, sir.
okay. Nagagan ko pangatanan na question, guys. Pag tubag dayon mo.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
okay.
Sorry, sir. We're in school, magod, sir. Then, hila ang connection, sir.
Okay. How many times did I tell you already that every time I ask you a question, please acknowledge, so that I will know what to proceed. Okay. And then, after that, you give an introduction. Okay? You give an introduction. Usually, the introduction of a research will include rationale of the study. Why are you conducting the study? Why are you conducting a mini research on the intention to purchase health insurance? No? So, a 1-page or a 2-page introduction about the importance or the significance of buying or subscribing to health insurance. So perhaps what you can do, you can ask Google, why is it important for everyone to have health insurance? So you have title, introduction, and then you must have, after introduction, you have to write, you have introduction, and then after introduction, you write research hypothesis. Research hypothesis. Okay. So one is you have to write hypothesis. Hypothesis 1. For example, insurance literacy. Insurance literacy has an influence on intention to purchase health insurance. Okay. Hypothesis 2. Let's say attitude towards insurance has an effect on intention to purchase health insurance. So there should be there should be 6 hypotheses, guys. Now, if you have recalled, now I asked you to do the structural equation model, the path diagram, wherein at the left side, you have the 6 independent variables, and on the right side is intention to purchase health insurance. So one of these variables is insurance literacy. You connect it to intention to purchase health insurance. And then another hypothesis is attitude towards insurance. You connect it to intention to purchase health insurance. And all other independent variables. There are 6 of them, guys. You understand?
Yes, sir.
And then the next is results. You have results and discussion. Okay, so you have part 1 and then you have part 2. Okay, so what is part 1 and part 2? You just copy what you have submitted in Canvas. No, so for example, so you have here midterm exam DP 101. This was your submission last time. Now, for example, the group of Abunete, no? So, what are you going to do for part 1? You just append the profile, no? Table 1, table 2, table 3 until table 7. Okay, so you have table 1. So this is part 1, no? Table 1, sex distribution of the respondents. Yeah, table 2, distribution of the respondents in terms of age group. So you have 7 tables, no, for part 1. So it's not difficult because you did it already, but I think you failed to include here table 7, which is whether the respondents have purchased health insurance or not. And then part 2, you start with table 8, no? Insurance, perceived insurance literacy of the respondents. Okay, you have the table already in the discussion, and then perceived usefulness of health insurance among the respondents. Then, so there are 7 variables, no, perceived usefulness. You have attitude towards health insurance. You have perceived behavioral control. You have subjective norm. You have intention to purchase health insurance. And then you have perceived product risk. So dapat until table 14, 1 to 14. So nakuha nga ni siya usa because dapat naapod to sa profile ang whether the respondents have purchased health insurance or not. You understand?
Yes, sir.
So, na may part 1, part 2, ang sunod na lang inyong lisod ang inyo na lang i-add for your final requirement is part 3. And you label, so what is part 1? Part 1 is, say, profile of the respondents. No? And then part 2 is descriptives, statistics of health insurance variables. I will not be sharing this with you, no, but so please take note. The descriptives of health insurance variables and their interpretation. And then part 3 is structural equation modeling. Okay, you will present here brief introduction about structural equation modeling. Okay, so in order to give you in order to guide you on how to make an introduction about structural equation modeling, I'd like you to watch again the videos that I have shared with you to the class. No, because it will tell you there that structural equation modeling, there are 2 models, no, that you have to check. The first one is the measurement model and the structural model. So measurement model will check, for example, whether the indicators or the items that were created, no, to measure the variables are reflective of the variables, no? And then for measurement model, you have to determine convergent validity and discriminant validity. On the other hand, the variables, no? Particularly the relationship of each of the independent variables and the dependent variable. And then you present here table 15, table 16, and then the path diagram, and then table 17, the last. So you discuss each table. So table 15 is convergent construct, reliability and construct, reliability and validity. And then table 16 is discriminant validity. Okay, so the diagram, that is the structural equation modeling, no? Modeling diagram. And then table 17 is hypothesis testing. Actually, you did this already, guys, no? When I approach each one of you to give me a demo on how you get this one. And then the last part is the conclusion. Okay, and then the references. The materials that you have used now, especially in incorporating RRL in your discussion. Okay, so we are done with part 1 and part 2. I will discuss how are you going to make part 3. I have here a sample. So as I have said, what will be included in part 3? So part 3 is labeled as structural equation modeling, no? And then you give a brief introduction of what is structural equation modeling, the two models, measurement model and structural model. My suggestion is you can search in Google, or much better if you watch the video and then give the introduction based on how did you understand the video, no, about structural model and measurement model. And then, of course, stage 1, that is, you will have to check measurement model. So for measurement model, you will be presenting construct, reliability, and validity. And table 15, no? Table 15. So if you have recalled, you have produced this already. The Cronbach alpha, composite reliability, and average variance extracted. You have this as one of the output of Smart PLS. So you will run PLS algorithm, and then you have to use, what was the other choice aside from path? Factor, no? You have to choose first factor to be able to output this Cronbach alpha composite reliability and average variance extracted. And it is presented in the recording or in the video that I have shared with you that composite reliability and Cronbach alpha, the threshold value is at least 0.7. If you have recalled in your output before, you have there some entries which are red, no? So as I have discussed with you that it is red, it means it's problematic. So if it is green, it means that the values are greater than or at least 0.7, no? So kung dili siya 0.7, mo red na siya. So you will discuss in here whether the items used to measure the constructs, insurance literacy, attitude towards insurance, are really reflective, are reliable in measuring the construct. If there is a red one, then you have to specify which of these variables and you recommend the removal or perhaps improve the items under the construct. For the AVE or the average variance extracted, when you discuss, just remember that the threshold here is at least 0.5. Again, watch the video that I have shared, that I have discussed in the class. And then that is table 15. Table 16, you will have only to present the discriminant validity, now which is the Forner-Lachter criterion. So, ang atong pag-explain, now we will explain why is it that we have a good discriminant validity. The requirement is that there are no values below the top value greater than the value of on top. Okay, kung naagani, but pasabot mo red na siya. If it is green, it means that all constructs are unique, no? So you have to discuss the results. I think if you have recalled, there is no problem with discriminant validity because all are green. And then, stage 2, you have to present the structural path model, figure 4. So just say something about the structural equation model or path. So just say, for example, figure 1 presented the path model derived from the structural equation modeling. Now it shows here the interrelationship among the independent variables and the dependent variable, etc. No? And then the last table, this is table 17, which is hypothesis testing. No? So actually, the first 4 columns, you have this as the output of Smart PLS. So you have to conduct bootstrapping and then you choose path instead of factor. Okay? So for the p-value, it will tell you the color here, green and red. If you have recalled in our data of intention to purchase health insurance, there are 4 which are red and there are 2 which are green. If it is green, it means that it is less than 0.05. And then you add the 2 columns, interpretation and decision. So if the p-value is green, it means the interpretation is significant. And then the decision, it means that your hypothesis is supported. For example, you will have here insurance literacy to intention to purchase insurance. So you will see there, for example, if the p-value is less than 0.05, it means that interpretation is significant, meaning na ay significant impact ang insurance literacy to intention to purchase health insurance. However, if the p-value is greater than 0.05, interpretation is not significant. If it is greater than 0.05, it means that there is no impact or effect of the independent to the dependent. So the interpretation is not significant, automatically the decision is not supported. So, ang imong null hypothesis is not supported because I told you to write hypothesis should be the independent variable has an impact or has an effect or has an influence to the dependent variable. So, just to inform you in advance that in the last table, table 17 in your case, there are 4 which are red and 2 are green. It means 2 are significant and the 4 are not significant. So you have to explain. And then the last section is the conclusion. For the conclusion, you have to write, you have to base your conclusion from your research hypothesis. For example, you say there, based on the findings of the study, the following hypotheses are made. So, hypothesis 1. So, just say there that 1, no? So, conclusion 1, insurance literacy has an impact on intention to purchase health insurance. So, depende whether sa imuhang hypothesis na table, supported ba or not supported. Kung supported, but pasabot na sa impact or effect, no? Pero not supported, but pasabot, there is no impact or there is no effect. So after the conclusion, of course, the list of references, the list of articles or journals that you have included in this final requirement. That's it, guys, for your final requirement. Basically, the task is easy for you because you will be discussing only part 3 and append it to your previous the one that you have submitted during the midterm exam. So at this juncture, I will entertain questions or clarifications, about this final requirement. Yes, Ranze.
With regards to the final, sir, ba, ang group kay katong i-divide into 2 or katong one whole group, sir?
Isa to siya? What's the question?
Ang sa finals, sir ba, ang grouping ani kay katong i-divide nga group or katong one whole group, sir?
Katong group ninyo nga, di ba ni-approach ko ninyo kada group? During the katong session nato, gipa-demo ta mo og i-check na ako kung kabaw ba mo maggamit sa Smart PLS. Mo to siya na group. Di ba nagpa-submit ko ninyo piece of paper?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Mo to siya. Any other concern? Is it difficult or is it easy? Easy na lang siya para nako, guys. Kaya naman mo sa part 1 and part 2, part 3 na lang yung trabahoon. O niya, sa part 1 and part 2, kung hatag na mag-introduction o niya, research hypothesis. Guys, I am asking you a question. Please acknowledge. Na question, clarifications, problem, etc.